talk to you about the Howard Stern show.
Okay.
Howard had Reggie Jackson on his show last week and the week before.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a weird guest for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit odd. And I'm going to play you how this starts off because I was listening to it and I went, what is going on right now? It doesn't sound like Reggie's even there or Howard is not talking to someone. Because again, Howard's not in the studio with Reggie, so it gets weird. And I think Reggie thinks he's on a TV show. So yeah, check this out. I just want to play the beginning of this interview and watch it, but imagine you're just listening to it. And I was trying to figure out, is Reggie even there? I can't tell.
Whenever you read Reggie's stats, it's mind-blowing when you think about the athletic accomplishment alone and all the bullshit he had to put up with and still have. That's the thing, Reggie. It's not that you were a great athlete. All the bullshit you had to put up with in your career, and you still managed to be a great athlete. That's the accomplishment. You got all these fuckheads screwing with you. The documentary. Here.
He's looking around. Can we say that?
Yeah, you can say it, Reggie. Go ahead. 14-time All-Star, 5-time World Series champion, 3 straight World Series with the A's, 2 straight with the Yankees. World Series MVP, 73, 77, 11 total World Series rings. I love in the documentary when you're showing off your rings. It's the greatest. And I love that you point out that the rings have become so gaudy you can't even wear them anymore. It's ridiculous. Hit 3 home runs, 3 pitches, game 6, 77.
It looks like you edited this together.
It's a great documentary. I loved it. But there's so much to dissect, Reggie. First of all, good to see you. I know it's early.
No, it's not early. I would say that I'm excited. I'm not a big interview guy anymore unless I know the person.
How funny is that? Like Reggie's just sitting there kind of like making facial expressions and nodding his head. And I was just like, say, so you're here, right, Reggie? You want to let people know that?
Like watching 2 different shows.
Yeah, you actually are here, right?
Why is he there? He peaked in like 78.
All right, so good question. The reason he's there is to promote this new doc that's out on Amazon or something like that. And it's funny because why would he go on the Howard Stern show in 2023 to promote something? I guess Reggie Jackson was the one who made this decision. And maybe a guy who's as out of it as Reggie, 75 years old, should not be doing that.
I said, let me tell you who I think we should have interview me if you want to get reach, if you want to get eyeballs, if you want to get ears. The first guy I would call would be Howard Stern.
Talk about retarded.
Dude, nobody's listening to the Howard Stern show anymore. What are you talking about? You want to talk to people, so you want the Howard Stern show?
I heard that people who are out of it should go to the king of out of it.
Yeah. All right, so then he explains how amazing it is that he's talking to so many people on the Howard Stern show because they get up to Sirius. You know, he's in studio. Howard isn't. But they get up there. And, of course, Sirius wants you to think that all these people are listening to the Howard Stern show. And we remember from the Pelican brief that Howard Stern goes, I don't know how many people are listening, but we just say 20 million. He admitted that they're lying about their listenership. And that was back when people were probably still listening to his show in 2013. So 10 years later, there's very few people listening to the show.
And to have the reach that you have, we were coming in this morning and it says you have somewhere between 15 and 20 million daily listeners. And the only guy I could go back to is when I think of the awareness was with you, Walter Winchell, Walter Cronkite. Was it Walter Winchell? Yes.
Well, with Walter Winchell.
And
yeah.
And Walter Cronkite.
Yeah,
now,
well,
folks don't know them, but that as far as reach and brand awareness is who you are.
Wrong.
So I love that he thinks there's 50 to 20 million daily listeners to the Howard Stern show.
Yeah.
No, there's not. Now, Walter Winchell, do you know that name?
I know the name.
I didn't. He was born in 1897.
Okay.
He was born before my parents' parents were born. And this is the guy, Reggie Jackson's just like, yeah, you're like the modern day Walter Winchell. Okay, wow. What a compliment.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Even Howard didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, yeah, I've heard that name
Reggie.
too.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that as he's bringing up these stats that he's seeing, Howard's not saying anything. Because, I mean, he knows. He knows that's not the case, obviously. All right. Now, they're going to bring up the documentary. And it's funny because right out of the gate, Howard insults Reggie. And you'll hear it here. I'll elaborate after we hear the clip.
Good for you doing a documentary. Sometimes I don't trust people, you know. I know you're the same way.
Yes.
When someone says, let's do a Reggie Jackson documentary and we want to interview you about it, first thing I say is, I better have control of this thing because they could end up making this thing nutty. You took a leap of faith with this documentary.
Yes,
You did not have ultimate control.
That's right.
Which is probably why it's good. You know what I mean?
I won't agree.
Good.
I did lose control, and it broke my heart.
Howard goes, I would never do this if I didn't have control. Yeah. You did it without having control. That's probably why it's good. That's insulting.
Very.
Yeah, it was weird. And then Reggie Jackson goes, well, I totally disagree. In fact, there's a couple of people who are very special to me, meant a lot to me in my life, and they didn't get in the documentary, and they should have been in it. And if it was up to me, they would have been. And he goes on and on about specific people and how sad he was and heartbroken that they weren't in the thing. So it's like, Howard's off to a bad start. Off to a real
At least we're not talking about 20 million.
Yeah, right. Yeah, at least he's not embarrassing himself in front of 20 million people, because that's rough right there. All right. You know what's going to happen next. I don't have to tell you. We're talking to a 75-year-old baseball legend. Reggie Jackson, one of the greatest players to ever play baseball. 5 World Series, 3 with the A's, 2 with the Yankees. He's done very well for himself. But you know what Howard's going to bring up?
Well, you talk about pain.
Here we go.
I watched this thing, and I understood your pain for the first time. Like, I was a fan of yours, and I know, obviously, when you were a Yankee, and and you're an amazing player and all, but, and I guess in the media, they always painted you as the angry guy, disgruntled, all this horse shit. But then I realized when I saw the documentary, real pain in your life. And, going back to, and you didn't dwell on it.
Yeah, nobody dwells on it. Only you, Howard. Everyone else moves on.
Yeah.
And actually, it's probably a pretty good idea to dwell on the things that you're happy about and that make you happy. Those are good things to dwell on, I would say. Not Howard. We got to talk about what happened when you were 12. So he goes right into Reggie's parents getting a divorce. Dude, this happened 68 years ago. What?
I think you suffered the greatest pain as a child that anyone can suffer. You suffered real trauma. I'm talking about at the point where your parents divorced and your mother went with 3 of the kids,
right?
Went off with them and did not take you with her. She left you with your father and the 2 stepchildren.
No.
No? Do I have that wrong?
No, half brother and sister.
Oh.
So his parents got a divorce.
Yeah.
And some of the kids went with mom, some of the kids went with dad. And Reggie seems fine with it. And he explains that he's fine with it.
He's
and
probably used to
good.
the idea.
Yes, right. It's not that crazy.
Not to interrupt, but going back to Reggie said he's not a big interview guy. He only goes to people he trusts.
Yeah.
Why would you trust this guy?
I know. That's what I mean. He's so out of it. He must know Howard from the 90s. He must think it's 90s Howard.
Maybe he thinks it's the 90s.
He might. Yeah. It's very possible. So, of course, Howard's going to try to dig into his childhood and try to figure out what Reggie needs to come to grips with and deal with. Dude, when you're in your 70s, if you forgot everything bad that happened to you, you're good.
Yeah.
Everything's good. You don't have to bring it up. There's no reason to bring it up.
I imagine that when I'm in my 70s, I'll be making shit up.
Yeah.
Like, I won't even know what's happening.
Well, Howard even said in the introduction, he's like, he once hit 3 home runs on 3 pitches in a World Series game. That's what I remember. That's the shit I think about, Howard.
Yeah.
Now my parents going to get divorced. Is that okay?
And since we're talking about, I didn't think he was ever painted in a negative light in the media.
He was a little bit. He was a little bit of an angry guy, but he was beloved. I mean, obviously, Yankees fans love
all I remember.
Jackson. Yeah, of course.
That and the candy bar.
Those 2 are so dear to me because one's 84, the other one's 80.
This is him talking about his half brother and half sister that they were saying he went with his dad And those two were his dad's kids, so he went with them. So Howard's going, isn't that terrible? It's your mom took the other kids and you went with them. And Reggie's like, actually.
Those two are so dear to me because one's 84, the other one's 87, and they're still alive, and we talk once a week.
But when your mother leaves you,
Isn't that great? Yeah. Reggie goes, actually, it's amazing. I still am in touch with them. I love them to death. They're still alive. Howard goes, hold on. We're not getting positive
Howard
here.
is like the lawyer of sadness.
There's no way we're going to get positive here.
at that age, essentially, and this is not disparaging your father, but you become an orphan in a sense. Every boy needs his mother. Every boy needs his mother. And the question is, you sit there and go, why would my mother not take me with her? Why would she take the other three and not me? And I imagine, I don't know if you've ever done therapy or anything, but I would imagine you need to get to the bottom of that question.
See, Howard, you need to get to the bottom of that question. And if you haven't gotten there yet, you're not going to get there.
No.
And leave everyone else alone.
Leave the other
leave them
people
out
alone.
of it. Reggie's doing fine.
Yeah.
He's out here promoting this new doc. He's excited about it. Well, I mean, he was bummed that they didn't interview his friends, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He said he watched it a couple times, thought it was good. He's never going to watch it again. And so then Reggie goes on to say that his parents actually did an amazing job. And he had a good relationship with both of his parents up until the time that they passed away.
And Howard said,
Disappointed!
Yeah, that's not what he wants to hear at all.
My mother and my dad, I thought, did a tremendous job of splitting the kids and raising three children themselves. Certainly, the mom's love and how it's displayed is much different than the dad. The dad is on the hard side of life, and the mom is on the soft side of life, and that's why we need both. However, I remember spending time with my mom. I remember when I signed my contract, I sent her money.
Yeah.
so he sounds like a sage, well-adjusted individual.
Correct.
This must be driving Howard nuts.
Howard hates that. He just keeps trying to find an angle and find a reason.
That kiss fucking thing was unbelievable.
I know.
And this just tops it, or at least adds to the,
It adds
the
to
narrative.
it. Yeah, exactly. It's like Howard's only interviewing people who are super successful and at the end of their lives and telling them they should be miserable about it. And they're like, I don't know why you say that. I'm doing really well. I had a great career. I'm in the Hall of Fame. People still love me. I still get free lunch when I hang out in Manhattan. Like, what do you mean? Like, why should I be so depressed?
And I
Howard?
came on the show because I thought you were funny.
Yeah, right. I thought we were going to have a good time today. But nope, it's not going to be a good time with Howard because Reggie's not giving him what he wants. So now Howard's going to go, I remember talking to you years ago and you were saying this.
But there were years where you would not even use the word mom. You said, I didn't call her mom. I didn't have a mom. And that's, I don't know, I felt that pain for you.
I hear you.
And I understand it. And we all have ways of dealing with it. But it just leads to an inner anger and question. I remember the last time I was with you. It was a long time ago. But, I said, did you ever confront your mother? Did you ever say, why did you leave me? Not the other. Why me? Why me? And you said, as courageous as you've been in your career, and you have been, that's the question you couldn't ask her, right? You never could.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, he goes, no, it's not that I couldn't ask her. I said, I didn't. I wouldn't ask her that question. Decisions had to be made, and they were made. It's fine. I did very well, Howard. I'm a really good baseball player, so it's all good.
In the middle of that clip, you hear Reggie say something like, okay, like he's there for Howard.
Right.
He's consoling him.
Yeah, right. And Reggie even tells a story about how the first time he played in Baltimore, that's where his mom was living, and he got her and all of her coworkers tickets to the game and set them up in a nice spot and met up with her before the game. And it's like, there was never an issue here that you're trying to create, Howard.
Yeah.
He's fine with that. He's fine with how he was brought up. And of course, now, since that's not working, now we got to go into the other angle.
Because I think you particularly need a mother because the amount of racism, and this is what's pointed out in the documentary, it's just mind-blowing. It's a good reminder of the difficulties not too long ago in our history, how shitty things were for a young Reggie Jackson. I was particularly moved.
What about racism, Reggie? Come on. Come on, you know, pretty terrible, right? Right? Slavery, huh?
I used to get bored to the porn stars riding the Sibian or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck.
I know.
This is so terrible.
Oh, I'd
compared.
much rather have hear a fake orgasm
Yes,
now on the
yeah.
show than Howard just talking about, yeah, but your mom, though, she didn't tell you she loved you every day, right? I mean, there were some days she didn't. I don't know. Whatever.
It's like an intervention for someone that didn't do drugs.
He even tells a story, Reggie does, about a time that, so he grew up in like a Jewish neighborhood, and he was the lone black kid, and one of his friend's parents said something to him that was racist, and he goes home and he tells his dad, and his dad gives him a hug. And I'm like, all right, Howard, it sounds like this is a good story. Like even Reggie, when he's like recounting, yeah, there was racism. Like it ends with like but we were there together.
Positive
Yeah, right.
Silver lining.
Jesus Christ, that's not what he wants to hear. That's never what he wants to hear. This is the ISO I pulled from this episode.
That pain is unbelievable.
Holy fucking
Jesus Christ.
shit.
You're talking to Reggie Jackson. That pain is unbelievable.
Howard should go on the I've Had It podcast and just bitch away.
I've had it with people who don't still talk about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Why aren't we still dwelling on the Holocaust?
I've had it
every
with people
day?
that won't cry on my show. Fuck me.
All right, I have one more clip from Howard Stern.
Okay.
And it is Reggie telling a story about Yogi Berra and one of the yogiisms
Okay.
that's always fun.
All right.
Curtis, you like Yogi Berra isms?
Hey, boo boo.
Not wrong one.
Cardiff is perfect for that.
He's not bad. So Reggie Jackson is going to tell a story about
This is
a
awful.
yogiism. And you would think that Tom Myers wrote this the way that he tells it. It takes him forever to get to this.
One other one I got to say is we're standing on the foul line, Old Timers Day. All the greats come out, and I was introduced after Yogi because it was Joe D, Mickey, Whitey, Yogi, and then me.
Jackie.
And we're standing on the foul line, and every year they would run a scroll during the national anthem when they were playing. They would stand there of the persons, the players that had passed on, the people we had lost. And you'd see people 50 years old, young, and you'd go like, wow, I didn't know that guy passed away. He's so young. And so Yogi's standing next to me, and he's putting his elbow in my ribs. And I say, Yogi, the camera's probably on us. The anthem. And he keeps going. And I said, well, what do you want? And so Yogi, these are the people that have died. So Yogi says, boy,
Are you trying to
I
end your
hope
show?
I don't ever see my name up there.
Was that Howard laughing?
Yes. It wasn't a bad Yogi line. It's just, why did he
Get to
include
it.
all of those details in there? It didn't make any sense.
Who are